In this video, we're making and reviewing something from the Cooking with Magic, A Century of Recipes cookbook. And this is one of those recipes that predates Snow White. So it's one of their like earlier short kind of feature, I shouldn't say feature, one of their earlier short cartoon things called The Wise Little Hen. And it's just Buttermilk-Honey Skillet Cornbread. And the picture is just, I think, from the cartoon. So this is cornbread that you make in your skillet. It says you can use a cast iron skillet, which is what I did, but you can also use another skillet if you don't have a cast iron. Here's some cornmeal that I'm going to toast in the oven at 450 degrees until it's slightly brown. So here I'm pouring the cornmeal out of the oven, and what you can't see is I also put my cast iron skillet in the oven because you're supposed to let that warm up for 5 or 10 minutes until the skillet is really nice and warm. So in the meantime, though, I'm putting my cornmeal into the bowl and I'm going to add some of the other ingredients so that way it's ready to go. First, I'm adding some buttermilk to the cornmeal mixture. After adding the buttermilk, I'm going to stir this together until it is nice and blended, and then I'm going to put this aside for now. Skillet is out of the oven, and I'm putting in olive oil, and I'm going to return it to the oven until it heats up. My skillet is back out of the oven, and I just put in some butter, and I am to whisk this together with the oil until the butter is melted. Now that it's melted, I'm supposed to pour about a tablespoon of the warm butter mixture in with the cornmeal mixture. Now that the butter is blended into the cornmeal mixture, I am adding the rest of the ingredients. First up, I have 2 eggs that I need to add into this. Now I'm adding the honey into the mixture, as you can't have honey skillet cornbread without the honey. Next up, I'll have some baking powder and some baking soda that I will be adding to the mix. Finally, I'm adding a little bit of salt. And to note, rosemary is an optional ingredient that you can add, but I decided to skip it because I'm not a huge rosemary fan. And here I am just blending all of my ingredients together. It's all blended. It's time to pour this mixture back into the skillet. Now that I'm mixing it in, I'm going to get this ready and just put it in the oven and let it bake until it's cooked for about 15 minutes. Here it is, done and out of the oven. Review time. So it's cornbread. It's good. I'm not a huge cornbread person. There's a restaurant in town that makes an awesome cornbread. It's like the one place that I absolutely love it. But otherwise, I'm just kind of like so on it. Like I can eat it. I don't mind it. It's not my favorite. I prefer other breads if I'm going to have like a little kind of bread side dish with something. So it was good. I will say when I'm talking to my husband, it's better than what you get in like a box or what you get at like Cracker Barrel, for example. It's better than that. But it wasn't the best that I ever had in terms of cornbread goes. So it was a solid cornbread is basically what I'm trying to say there. So let's get into the rankings. So first I rank the ingredients, which is the combination of how costly they are and how hard they are to find on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being low and 5 being kind of pricey or hard to find. I'm just gonna give it like a 1.5. Everything is really easy to find. It's not super expensive, but I will say it's a little bit more expensive than just buying boxed cornbread where you just kind of like add water or whatever and an egg and throw it in the oven. So it's a little bit more expensive than that. That's why I'm not quite ranking it a 1, but otherwise still easy to find stuff. Difficulty level on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being easy and 5 being hard. And I'm going to put this at like a 2.5. I really don't think it was that hard. As you can see, it's just a lot of steps in mixing things, but what makes it a little bit more complicated and a little bit more tricky is that skillet in and out of the oven. You know, you heat the oil in the skillet, you add the butter. So you have to be very careful because you're handling a very hot metal pan, kind of transferring it in and out of the oven. So you have to be really careful you don't burn yourself. So that's why I'm just going to put the difficulty a little bit level. And you know, that also involves some time. Again, when you're comparing this to just like a basic cornbread where you buy a box of stuff that's already ready and throw it in the oven, to this, it's a little bit more complicated. So that's why I'm ranking it up there, but I do think it is simply easily doable for most people. And then when I make this again on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being never and 5 being absolutely, I'm going to put a neutral 3. Like, we enjoyed it, but again, we're not huge cornbread people. It's not something we eat often. Every so often from chili or something, I might make like a small thing, but it's not often. So it's one of those, like, if I'm looking for a cornbread recipe for whatever reason, I may bust this out and use it because it was a really solid recipe. But again, I don't know how often that'll actually be in my household.